Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday. Here with my dad, Edward, my main mentor all my life. And the last time we met on Wisdom Wednesday, we talked about this concept of this book that Edward's been studying all of his life called The 16 Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. So for this first segment of that book, we're going to be going over this for the next 17 weeks. Wanted to share with you something that he always hands out when he starts talking about this book. And there's a little card here that he has called the 16 Laws of Success. They're all listed here. We're going to be going through all of those over the following weeks. But to start the class, and anytime he's thinking about that, you've always had this poem that you found, that you love, that you hand out. Actually, I have it framed and have it on my wall here at my office so that I can look at this frequently, because I think it's just so impactful about how you think about yourself and how to have confidence in the decisions that you make, and in how you live your life, in essence. And so for this segment, would you mind sharing this poem? I know how important it's been to you all your life. You live by this, and I think it's important to start this sequence for this book that you share the philosophy of that poem.
Yes, I'd be delighted to do that. The guy in the glass is anonymous. No one knows who wrote it. But it talks about you. And when we talk about personal leadership, we're talking about personally, not about your wife, not about your father, your mother, anybody. You're talking about you. So you're responsible for your own actions. You're responsible for doing what it is you're going to do in life. So the poem itself is so visible in telling you who you really are and who you really should be. Let me just read it to you. When you get what you want in your struggle for self, and the world makes you king for a day, then go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what the guy has to say. For it isn't your mother, father, husband, or wife whose judgment on you must pass. The fellow whose verdict counts more in your life is that guy staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest. For he's with you clean to the end. And you've passed your most dangerous and difficult test if that guy in the glass is your friend. You may be like Jack Horner and chisel a plum and think you're a wonderful guy. But the guy in the glass says you're a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. You may fool the whole world down the pathway of years and get pats on the back as you pass. But the final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the guy in the glass. It's so powerful that I honestly think about that every day, first thing in the morning. I think about it and think about at some point just sitting and visiting with him, and this may sound very silly until you actually practice it. Look at the guy in the glass and talk to him and visit with him. That he's never going to lie, he's never going to tell you something that isn't beneficial to you. And if you really, and it's first time I did it was just, I thought, this is the silliest thing in the world. But I stood there and talked to the guy in the glass, and guess what? That guy in the glass responded. And they'll do it every single time that you do that. I do that, still do it very often. So personal leadership, again, is about personal example, personal leadership.
So there's some wisdom for you to take and think about and we are thrilled and really looking forward to the next 16 weeks where we'll be sharing chapter by chapter of Edward's thoughts about this book from Napoleon Hill, 16 Laws of Success. See you next week.